information. Yeah. You and pin products to your catalog. Let's check this out.
Come in, come in, come in. Welcome, welcome. Come on, come on. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Yeah.
It's Sersky.
We are in the place to be today. It is Tuesday,
April the 7th,
April the 7th.
2026. On you. On you. On you. Come in, come in. What do we have here today? What's going on in the world?
Man, there's a lot of things going on the world, man. Today is Tuesday. It's supposed to be Power Plant Day. So the reason why we had this emergency meeting is so that we could go live and talk about some of the things that's going on within our country and as well with the international climate. As you know, we are in a war conflict with the country of Iran. A lot of conversations about why we're actually in that war in the first place. Mixed reviews globally, not even just in the United States, about our involvement in this conflict. But it's like for the past 30 years, we have heard claims that Iran is on the brink of developing nuclear weapons and how they cannot have nuclear weapons. And I never really understood how we can police the entire world and say who can have nukes and who can't have nukes, when in reality, I think we're the only people that's dropped a nuclear bomb on somebody. So, for us to be policing the rest of the world is kind of crazy. But Bibi Netanyahu has been saying that these people have been on the verge of developing a nuclear bomb, for quite some time. So what we've tried to do is create sanctions and protocol for their development. So they can only develop these weapons or nuclear energy under the strict scrutiny of America and Israel. Now, I never really thought that was fair, but for quite some time they have wanted us to invade Iran. They want us to go to war with Iran. Iran is one of the last countries that does not have a centralized banking system funded and initiated by the Rothschilds. So over the course of like the past 10 or 15 years, there was like 9 countries that didn't have a bank. But slowly but surely, for whatever reason, we have invaded, we have changed regimes, and we have put new people in place. From Saudi Arabia to Libya to Yemen, and Venezuela, and now Iran. So that leads to a deeper conversation on what really could be motivating these attacks. But anyway, now we're in Iran. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, which is a vital key point for global commerce, not just with oil, but a lot of things go through this strait. And they control this strait. I don't believe that the reason why we're over there is because of nuclear weapons. I believe the real reason, because we've followed behind Israel several times in the past 20 or 30 years. There's weapons of mass destruction over here. There's nuclear weapons over here. But in reality, all we did was go into these countries, destabilize their governments, put in mock regime changes and mock democracies that we backed, and now we control those areas and those resources. And I can't even say if it's been to the benefit of those particular countries, but I do know that I don't think any of these people actually intended to harm us. Of course, we are the bully with all the bases, 190 something bases to be exact. But a lot of things that's happened in the past haven't really happened to where they brought hostility on us or there's been any attacks on American ground. So I don't think this is a nuclear thing. I think that this is a power play to control the straits. And I don't know, man. There's so much I want to talk about. I ain't gonna take the floor. I'm gonna let you jump in real quick, and we'll jump back in to some other points. But it's very interesting.
No, really, it is, man. And those were some good points that you was making. What's up, everybody? I was just looking at something saying that pre-war, 130 to 150 Western or United States tankers passed through the strait per day.
How many?
150
U.S. tankers go through the strait
per day. And so that's been stopped since this has began at the end of February. So around 2,000 ships have not passed through the strait. And I don't think people understand the severity of this. Granted, we're using our reserves and we have supplies or whatever, but we're backdating ourselves from all these days that we're not pushing these 150 ships. That's 150 ships. That's 150 ships worth of material that we got to go into the reserves on.
Right.
For 30 days or 40 days that we've been in this conflict. I think that's very important because I was watching Bloomberg today, and they were saying that we are entering in a COVID 2.0, like a different form of lockdown though, like a restriction on what we can use and what we can travel and just all stuff like that because of the limit
of energy.
Yeah.
Resources.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure. But these people have like controlled this strait for a long time, and we're not new to the coups, as they call it. Shout out to Keisha tapping in, Amber, Jake Clark. I had some notes in here. I'm gonna pull it up real quick, but we have been like staging coups for a long time. I think the first coup was in 1953, where we did a regime change in Iran. And who was actually over there at the time?
Is that 1953?
1953. We did our first coup in Iran, and it was just once again to do a regime change in hopes that we would have more control over, or influence in those areas in terms of those resources in that strait. But we did that. The new regime came in and they wanted to, also nationalize their resources. And, especially after we kind of, like I say, we meddle in so many sides of different conflicts because there was a time that Iran and Saudi Arabia was going through it. Excuse me, not Saudi Arabia, but Iran and Iraq was going through it. And to try to push the regime change and control, we funded Saddam Hussein, right? So while Saddam Hussein was useful and beneficial to us in stirring this conflict, we supported him. But in doing so, they nationalized their oil. And I don't think that that's really a bad thing. It's just like we have oil over here in America and somebody saying that, we have to trade with the Chinese dollar or sell our oil a certain way. So, these are resources that are native to these people's countries. So, like, they've had these for hundreds, thousands of years, and this is what's allowed them to have a certain level of power and control in that area. So now here we are where they've naturalized their resources and they control the strait. So that is almost like Iran single-handedly is preventing Zionists from total control of the world, from the banking system, from commerce to the straits to the ports. Like, that one area is what's preventing this Zionist expansion because they really already have control over all the other countries in the area, and nobody's really going to stop this expansion of this regime. I think that Iran single-handedly is the one that can do it. But in doing so, we're playing a geoeconomic war, geopolitical war. So all they're going to do is press and make it tighter on resources, and we're going to feel it globally. And this is going to put pressure on the United States from the rest of the country. The world, and it's also going to put pressure on them. So Trump tweeted a few days ago this power plant tweet. If you want to pull it up and recite what he said. This is not even the most outlandish tweet.
Social one?
Yeah, power plant Trump tweet or post. Excuse me, y'all. I think I'm getting a slight cold. In case y'all hear the sniffles, you might be able to go to images. Yeah, that's it.
Tuesday will be Power Plant Day. And Bridge Day. That one?
Yeah.
Wrapped all into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy, or you will be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump.
Whew, man. I don't, when I seen this, I was like, bro, like, this man is wild. Like, of course we hear this crazy rhetoric and his Twitter fingers and the stuff he says, but like, this is just, to me, so blatantly disrespectful. And, I scrutinize all presidents. So, regardless if I've supported you at different times, or I would like to think that the president is going to do the best in this position, but at the same time, I scrutinize everybody. I scrutinize Biden, I scrutinize Obama, I scrutinize Clinton, Bush. I mean, because these are our leaders, so, they should, criticism comes with the territory. So, like, I ain't sparing nobody on research and criticism and stuff like that. I ain't sparing nobody. So, even him, I thought that him, and this is my theory, like, I don't want to go too far, but, the fact remains that the United States is occupied by a foreign government. You got to look at how much money comes through AIPAC, how much allegiance is this to Israel, and we're occupied by a foreign government, regardless of what you want to say or if you want to admit that. But, and this is for a country that really has no value to us. They're not providing any resources. They're not providing anything in exchange. They literally just became a state in 1948. It ain't even been 100 years. So, like, the relationship has no value for us. If anything, it's detrimental, because all we're doing is picking all these fights on behalf of them. So, not to get too far off of it, we're occupied by this foreign government. And anybody that goes over there and kisses that wall, to me, is compromised. It don't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, but when you go over there and pledge allegiance to a foreign government, and you have occupied in your Congress and in your Senate people who are pro-Israel, Israel first over our countries, that means that you're compromised. That means that you can't possibly be putting the American people first. And, it's borderline treason. But I said all this to say that, I don't think any other leader, it doesn't matter who the president is. It didn't matter if it was Kamala Harris. It don't matter if it was Biden. It don't matter if it was Bush. Kanye. Well, I don't know about Kanye. But for the most part, the Zionist regime and the Israeli occupation has our politicians by the balls. So they have coordinated different agendas and I guess tools for them to maintain control. So it's easy with the people that I talked about before to give them money and to put all these money into these campaigns. And that's why you look at these people that are making $100,000, but they get out of the office and they're worth millions. And it's all because they're scratching people's back. They're getting their back scratched. They're privy to insider trading information, whatever. So when I see him, is abrasive as he is, in my mind, I'm like, at least he can't be bought. I don't think he can be bought because he got his own bag. So, there's nobody that can compromise his decision making if they can't buy him off. But the tools of these foreign governments and these agents run deep. And now we're seeing a lot of stuff. And I personally feel like that those people in Israel have some very, very I don't know what, horrific, very bad information on Donald Trump. You know,
I was just gonna say, you talked about tools.
Tools.
Of, one of their main tools that we now know about, or that has been allegedly listed or named as a tool, is Epstein.
Exactly. Right. So they've been using this system to blackmail entertainers, politicians, people of influence, because once they put you in a room doing some questionable stuff with what seems to be the thing to do, because everybody is pushing you or suggesting that you go with the flow in whatever these rooms are, really it was just a tool to blackmail you, to catch you doing something indecent so that we have control over you. And I honestly think that that's really what's going on right now. I think that there is something so damaging to his reputation that it's like BB's like, all right, I ain't gonna go over here and fight this war. No Israelis gonna go over here and fight this war, but we need you to go fight this war. We need you to get the American people behind this war. We need you to get them okay with what's going on, because if you don't, we're gonna let all the people know about this stuff that you got going on. And I think that, and I could be wrong, this is just a theory, but I think that is what's going on. I think that that's why he changed his tune. He was so anti-war when he came in, but I think them folks got some information on him, and they got him by the balls, and they're making him do these particular things. But for a president to tweet that, power plant day, bridge day, all wrapped up in one, and the praise be to Allah at the end, I was just like, bro, unless you're trying to make this a religious war, why would you? That's just so disrespectful. And I think even Christians who might not believe in the Islamic faith or follow that, they feel like it's disrespectful. And it's just it's just wild. And then Trump came on and said today, it was yesterday, and I quote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, that we have complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary and wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. But man, this man basically said that he's going to smash power plants, bridges, waterways, and a lot of people are arguing, especially in the UN, that this is a war crimes, crimes
right.
against humanity.
Right. And
it's just interesting because it's just like, wow, I can't believe that you would just say I would kill an entire civilization of people. And I mean, it's just, I know this might be the art of the deal. These folks might be, negotiating to see who's going to fold first, man. But these are just, man, these are things that you just don't say. And these are things that you just don't do. And, so he had till 8 o'clock today. So we scheduled this emergency meeting because we were going to go live all the way through 8 o'clock. We were going to discuss this stuff for those of y'all who don't know what's going on. We wanted to be able to speak about it so you guys can ask questions and we can have a dialogue about it. But
it appears
like Iran wants to smoke, really. And Iran has been very, I've been watching what's going on. They've been very strategic with how they're playing it. So once again, by putting a squeeze on the global economy, that in turn is going to put a squeeze on the United States. So pretty soon people are going to be looking at you like, what y'all going to do? You know what I mean? And
true. They're
bombing on the premise that we need to open back up the straits. But, the argument is if you never would have bombed them in the first place, the straits would have never been closed. So,
yeah. And I think that happened because we were helping Israel, right, with the bomb.
Yeah.
That was a favor or assistance to them.
Mm-hmm.
Chemo Feng Shui, what's going on? Shout out Chemo Feng Shui.
Big shout out to Chemo. Let me get my feed back up.
Do you know?
Who?
I think that was because has Yahoo been that what
BB
has
Netanyahu.
he been, how they said he was targeted or he was killed or whatever? Has he made any
I mean, we
appearances?
really don't know, bro. Like, all we can go is off of what mainstream media tells us, and the problem with that is that it's compromised, it's controlled.
Yeah.
So we're being fed a certain narrative. So we don't even know if this man is alive, if he's dead, like what's going on. But you know, Iran is being very strategic in its excuse me, in its attacks, and I mean, from what I see, Israel's getting smacked too. A lot of places is getting smacked. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Anybody who is tapped in on this live, we got a few people. What do y'all think about this?
Crazy times, man. Crazy times that we are living in.
Who you got? Janice Garner on the plot too. So as we get ready for this 7:30, 8 o'clock wind up, right? This memo comes out like right before 8 o'clock, right? Right before 8 o'clock.
As we are setting up.
As we are setting up. And it says, let me go find them. It says that Trump suspends the U.S. attacks and that Tehran agrees to a 2-week ceasefire. So that means that over the course of the next 2 weeks, we're going to continue deliberations, negotiations, and we're going to do a ceasefire on both sides. Now, Iran says it accepts a 2-week ceasefire to begin on Friday.
Yeah.
And that Trump said he would suspend attacks on Tehran targets, and he would agree to fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign minister says that safe passage through the key waterways will be possible for a period of 2 weeks via coordination with Iranian armed forces. So it seems like they're going to let them through, but they're going to be chaperoned by Iranian ships to make sure you don't do no funny stuff. And they're trying to get this strait open. You know, I also seen another thing where the UN is saying that we need to open back up the strait for the rest of the world. And the people that voted against that, of course, was China and Russia because they said it's biased to Iran, you know, especially during this conflict of what's going on. So this resolution was what? Let me look. When did this drop? Earlier this morning. Russia and China have vetoed a UN Security Council resolution aimed at protecting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The draft text on which a vote was held on Tuesday proposed by Bahrain, 11 of the 15 members voted in favor and 2 abstained. However, Russia and China said that the measures were biased against Iran. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Iran has already said that they have strategic military alliance and partnerships with Russia and China. So, I mean, this can just really get interesting.
True.
Very interesting. How do you see this playing out?
Not quick. Not quick. Not swift. You know, not as swift as most Americans probably thought this was going to play out. I think that this 2-week ceasefire will, it will bring some ease for a couple of weeks, and then we'll be right back in this position, probably in about 2 weeks.
Do you feel like it's all just market manipulation plays?
No, like you were saying in the beginning.
Because as soon as he made those tweets and those posts, it's like the market went crazy.
Well, the market's gonna react anyway to whatever. You know what I mean? It will react to nothing. You know, so I don't think it's just about the market. I think it's more so, like you were saying earlier, about like total control, world domination. You know what I mean? But how this is gonna play out, I think it's gonna go through the summer. I hope not, but I think I can see this going through the summer. And when I say through the summer, just as wrapping up around August,
right,
September.
Sure. I really don't know, man. I know how I would like for this to happen. I mean,
Yeah, I definitely would like for this to be quick, but I just see how the ups and downs. It seems like the information we're getting just doesn't allow us to be as certain as we would like to be on the possible outcome of things. We get skewed information.
question is, do you think that the threat was a scare tactic? I feel like the threat was initially a scare tactic, but them folks ain't scared. They're not scared at all.
Right.
And they have, and I'm just looking at how the media is skewing this and creating this direction of what this is. So you have people in Iran who are chanting Allahu Akbar, which is, no one is greater than God. I put my life in God's hands. And I put our faith in God. It's basically what this terminology is. So, you have people who are chanting this in the street, and they are embracing an inevitable attack. Like, they are, just their mentality of nationalism is like, if we're protecting the things that God gave us, as far as our land, our livelihood, our lifestyle, we're protecting that, and if we die protecting that, we should have favor from God. And that's just the way that these people think. So even when Trump said we're going to bomb the power plants, we're going to bomb the bridges, what the people did? They got together and built people chains of men, women, and children to rejoice and to, I can't even call it a protest, but they're creating chain links with their bodies. They have Iranian flags. They know it's a possibility that these places might get destroyed, but they're here in solidarity and unity. But I also see this being spun like terrorist regime is sacrificing the children of the country for terrorism and stuff. And I'm just like, bro. And I go through and I start reading the comments and I look at how naive people are and how easy they just go for whatever. And, I don't know what to say. What I would like to happen is that we're in the stage of the Great Awakening. And I remember when I was first introduced to the Great Awakening, and it's just where so much knowledge and truthful information comes out. So we're in this age of Great Awakening where people are really understanding what's happening, who controls the power structure, why has it been like this? Has this been preordained? Has it been set up for hundreds of years to play out like this? Has this fight been going on way before us and will be going on way after us? Like, now that we're starting to understand the power dynamics, we're understanding how the banking system controls a lot of the things that happens in the world. Now that we understand this, it's like we're learning the truth about World War II. The more that I deep dive and I listen to the painter give his speeches in English, I realize that the people who wrote the history books, and maybe the interpretation that we have of that particular individual is not entirely accurate. So then I go into this deep dive of World War II, why it was fought, the Bolsheviks, the Bolshevik Revolution, what was going on during this time period, and then it just starts to hit me because I put all these dots together. So what I would like to see is that the people stand up. We see what's going on. I mean, we see that we're being occupied by a foreign country. We see that we're being extorted by taxes. We see what's going on with the money. And I just hope that people wake up and realize what's really going on, and that there becomes civil unrest, and that we make sure that we get these politicians out who are taking this money. And, just the fact that we have lobbyists breeds corruption. The fact that we allow companies to donate millions of dollars to campaigns, it's just like, how can we not feel like that wasn't going to breed corruption? Like, how do we,
True.
It's just, so we need to take corporate money out of politics. We need to make sure that people are really working for the people. We need to ensure that there is no foreign interest occupying our government. Foreign groups need to register as foreign groups. And we just need to make sure that we're putting the well-being of our country first and not the well-being of other countries. So,
well said.
I don't. I just want to be mindful of what I say, but I think that the biggest threat to humanity in the world, in the terms of terrorism, is the current Zionist regime that is controlling the government of Israel, which is also controlling the government of America by extension, and the vision for this greater Israel that Bibi Netanyahu has, who his handlers and his financiers have had the agenda for, and we just got to remove that from our dynamics of what we do as a country. I really don't feel like we need to have them as an ally. I mean, they don't benefit us any way possible, you know. And as we go through history and we look at all the Middle Eastern conflicts, it's not because people have attacked us, it's because they've either attacked them or Israel has said they got weapons and they're a threat, and they got weapons and they're a threat. And we just go through and smack everybody. Smack everybody. Israel ain't going and smacking nobody, but they're using the pit bull to go smack everybody. And it's almost like, I feel like America is the biggest enemy of Israel, but we just don't know it yet, because what's going to happen is Israel is going to use America to do all the dirty work that they don't want to do. We're going to do all the fighting on their behalf. We're going to lose soldiers and stuff. And once we overthrow everybody for the benefit of Israel, now they have total control. They're going to continue to squeeze us on commerce. They're going to continue to squeeze us on taxes. And it's like they don't even need us anymore. You know, so I feel like inevitably they're going to turn out their back on us too if they get what they want. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say.
Wow, you said a lot, but that was some good stuff. And you, like the live. I'm sorry, excuse me, got a little caught up. Like the live, if you agree with what my guy Tony is saying right here, because he's definitely on one tonight with this current event, with the world events and things that are going on. As you can tell, he's very passionate about it. So, you know, just make sure y'all like it, share it, comment, and engage, because
shout out to Phil tapping in. Shout out for these hearts from Miss Keisha. Jennifer, what did she say? I thought that the bomb in secret announcing the threat today was to throw everyone off, but they will sneak and do a bigger bombing later. Just thinking out loud, I'm not sure. And if they bomb, does that destroy the gas anyway? What we are fighting for? Are we trying to control Iran and make it America's? I mean, ultimately, we're trying to control it. So, you know, we have domination and control over most of the resources and entities like this in the world, but it's not for America to have, because keep in mind, we're getting pimped. You know, we're sending billions of dollars to a foreign country who really doesn't benefit. Let me pull this up. How much do we actually send in foreign aid? I seen somebody bring it up the other day, but let me see. How much does the United States provide Israel in foreign aid?
And while you look that up, I just want to say to everyone viewing, everyone tapping in, we appreciate y'all for tapping in tonight. And pat yourself on the back, because there are so many people that are totally oblivious to all this going on.
You said too much. $3.8 billion annually in military assistance, making Israel the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign aid since World War II. It says the current MOU signed by the Obama administration guarantees $38 billion in military aid over a 10-year time period, which is from 2019 to 2028. And the focus is on military. So nearly all, if not all, current U.S. aid to Israel is military assistance, allowing Israel to purchase U.S.-made defense systems. In addition to the $3.8 billion, the U.S. frequently provides emergency supplemental funding, particularly during conflicts, which can significantly raise the total year amount. Historical context for you. Since 1951, the U.S. has provided over $158 billion non-inflation adjusted in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. While annual aid is usually around 3.8 billion in fiscal years, disbursements to Israel was significantly higher. Last year totaling $6.8 billion. And it just blows my mind because this is a country who has housing assistance. This is a country who has free education. This is a country that has free health care. And we don't have none of that, bro. Like, if we go to the hospital and we can't afford medical service, we might die. You know, it's just like, but we're doing all these for these foreign countries. So it's just like, I don't know, man. How do you feel
about that?
Yeah.
You know,
we got money for war, but can't feed the poor.
I know, I agree. And you know, this it's just one of those control the controllables type things because, I mean, our complaints, you know, it's got to be, we have to be, strength is in numbers. You know, we can feel how we feel individually and whatnot, you know, and unless we have someone we can run it up the chain of command to, it's like we can't do much but complain, and you know, that's about it. You know what I mean? But
and then you gotta watch for the hook, because what I'm learning is that there are decisions that are being made on such a high scale that supersedes us, that like we're oblivious to what's really going on. Like, there's so many mechanisms in play to create catalysts for certain things. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, we should impeach Trump. We need Trump out of here. He's dangerous. You know, he's causing us to go to war. And I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree, but we impeach Trump or we remove Trump, and then who we going to replace him with? Another puppet that's taking millions of dollars for Israel, that's still going to seek out the best benefit for Israel. If you've ever noticed, like, whenever somebody speaks out against, especially in Congress and the Senate, when anybody speaks out against our relationship with Israel and the amount of funding that they get, in the next primary, there's this new candidate who's getting super funded by AIPAC to try to remove them from that seat. So, I mean, it's just like, what do we do? Like, I don't want to say anything unpopular, man, but it's, as long as Israel controls our government and influences what we do, I don't think that we're ever going to have a free country. I don't think that we're ever going to have the quality of life that we should have. I think that we're always going to be getting pimped and extorted, whether it's through predatory lending practices and banking systems, or whether it's the way that we're getting taxed. You know how much money gets lost? Like, every year, we can go look up this stuff. Pentagon loses $3 trillion here, or they spend, you know, $10 billion on coffee cups or lobster tails or whatever that they're spending on. So it's just like, you know, I wouldn't mind paying taxes if I knew that it was going towards something philanthropic or beneficial. Like, if you were smacking me for 40% of my income in taxes, but at least I got free health care and my kids got free education, like, maybe it would be all right. But we don't have none of that, bro. We don't have none of that, and we're just being taxed to death. And when you start to look at where the money's going, it's like, I don't support the money going over here. I don't support, you know, $1 trillion fighter jets and, you know, millions of dollars on coffee mugs or whatever else they're blowing money for in the Pentagon. Felton, Israel is the only ally our government trusts in the Middle East, so we kiss their ass. And definitely need to get rid of Trump and get someone to make Israel a U.S. territory. And the beef for Israel would start to end. Pakistan beef, Iran beef. That is interesting. That's interesting thought. For Israel to become a territory of America. I don't know. Like, in theory, I think that sounds good, but the real problem is the centralized banking system. Because once you control the money and you control the interest and you control the credit and the lending practices and stuff like that, you basically control the world. And that's how they've controlled the world for hundreds of years. They financed both sides of wars. They gave you so much money that they know that you're going to spend it all and you'll never be able to pay it back. So now this gives me favor over your resources and having influence in your lands. And I mean, this is how we got here today, from this systematically going on over the course of the past few hundred years. Avery Wells, what's up, man? Thank you so much for tapping in. Like, I got a nice old school I seen that he's finna get ready to attend. I'm excited to see that. Yeah, man. But what you think, Big A, OG Avery? OG Avery. How many?
So, like I was saying earlier, if you're in on this conversation, pat yourself on the back, because this is a conversation that needs to be had as we go into the summer. This is the first 30, 40 days of this conflict, and it doesn't appear that we are approaching the end anytime soon, you know, with these delays and deadline extensions. On top of that, I was also saying there are a lot of things that are out of our control. Although we know the details, you know, through and through, you know, as much as we can gather from everything, we still have to focus on ourselves and what we can control, because a lot of this stuff going on in the world, you know, everyone should be outraged, you know, in some shape, form, or fashion, you know, with the news that's going on around the world. But, you know, at the end of the day, don't forget about what you can control. Back to you, Tom.
It says, as of this month, 13 American service members have been killed in this conflict, with over 200 troops being wounded, according to U.S. Central Command. Felton says, I do support a big budget for the military. That's why no one has war on our grounds. As a Navy seaman, we appreciate your service as well. A big budget for the military. I mean, there's a difference between protection and defense and conquest. You know, I think once we start talking about hundreds of military bases all across the world, that it becomes more about conquest. But I do understand the value and the importance of having a strong military. But how strong and what for? You know, and to your point about there not having been a war on our grounds, I'm gonna knock on wood, but I wouldn't surprise if we seen something like that happen. So remember when the last administration was in and we had caravans of refugees that were coming in droves through the southern border. You know, millions, actually, I want to look up the actual number. Millions of people came through the southern borders with little to no checks, balances, observations, researches. Like, you know, it wasn't on the Scarface movie where they come in and they read your paperwork and they see what you did. Like, there was people just coming in, and these people aren't just from Latin America. They're not just from Nicaragua. They're not just from Guatemala. There was people coming in from different countries of Africa, different places in the Middle East. So I said all this to say that I think that it would be extremely easy for a foreign government to implant sleeper cells through what was going on with that. Let me see. How many refugees? During Biden administration. So it is estimated that 8 million migrants came into the U.S. through the U.S. borders during the Biden administration from 2021 to 2025. All right.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people. That's 8 million people, you know, coming from all different places of Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. I think that it would be easy to systematically make a person appear to be a refugee, but actually they're a soldier for a foreign government, you know, and it's easy to just have implanted whole militias inside of America through just that little gateway. And now, am I saying that this happened? No. But would it be really, really easy to implant a foreign army or a militia in here through that easing of entry through the southern borders, I think that it's possible. And all they got to do is just hit the button and say, let's turn up. Everywhere says on with your bro, Trump is definitely heading us into the biggest crisis that we've ever seen. It's overwhelming. Just thinking about what's to come unexpectedly, what's to face. I agree. I'm not necessarily just proud to be an American, because they say you're proud to be an American, where at least you know you're free. We're not free in America. We feel like we have freedoms because we have the illusion of freedom of speech, but really we don't have freedom of speech, because you can't even criticize these foreign people without being labeled a term. And it's actually a hate crime to criticize these people. Who the fuck made that rule up? Like, who said that we're going to make this a crime for you to criticize the actions of the people of this country? Fucking weird to me.
That's great.
But I was having a debate with one of my colleagues who had prior military service, and he would debate me that this is still the freest, best place for you to live, and I would just have to disagree, bro. There's places in this world where our money stretches further. There's places where everybody's not capitalistic and materialistic. They enjoy life more. There are places where there's not a lot of social unrest or racial issues. There's just places where people have a higher quality life. Free education, free healthcare, low taxes. People get rich and they move to other countries so that they can have tax breaks, or move to places like Dubai, literally limited taxes, less than I think 5%, 3% like that. Puerto Rico, even though this is American territory, same thing, little to no taxes in these places. So people are really running their bag up and moving to other countries, because who wants to be taxed to death? And then when you start asking the questions about why are we being taxed, damn, I'm being taxed like this not to give to improve our schools, not to improve the roads, not to give us free education, housing assistance, or health care, but they're taking this money from us so we can give it to other countries to go bomb other countries. And it's just like, when you realize that, it's like, I don't know, man. I can't be a part of it. I can't feel comfortable being a part of it.
Crazy times, crazy times. It's a crazy world.
Let's see what goes.
Be sure to like the live. Share it. Share it. If you live in the USA, you should be sharing this live.
You can share this if you live in Dubai, if you live in Iran, if you
Oh
live
yeah,
in
if
any
you
of
live
those other places.
if you live on the planet Earth, you should be sharing this live.
For sure. So I want to give a big shout out to everybody who did tap in and got into the conversation. These are the type of dialogues that we need to be having. We'll just see what goes on. We'll see what the next 2 weeks has in store for us. I think that those folks are in it for the long haul. I think that it's unjust to try to go and take control of people's resources. I just look at all the shit that we do to other people and other countries, and I just think about, what if they did that to us? We would not be having none of that shit. Like, you ain't finna come tell us how to do nothing with our oil. You're not gonna tell us what to do with our politicians. You're not gonna have no military base in the United States. I don't care what the fuck you think's going on.
And that's what your colleague is talking about when he says we're still the freest country, because we have that freedom to where it's not gonna, nobody's just gonna come in here and take that freedom away.
Mm-hmm. Imperialism at its finest. So we'll digress a little bit before we get off this live. I know you guys have been on here for a second. Offset got shot in the ass. Did y'all see that?
I didn't know he got shot in the rear end. I didn't know he got shot at all until today.
Yeah, he got shot in the ass.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, and it wasn't at MacArthur Park.
It was at a casino in Florida.
By the rapper TJ, Lil TJ.
What's he saying? Or who's he with?
He's a young cat, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I saw where Des Bryant, NFL player, former NFL player, tapped in to add his 2 cents about Offset and dealing with Offset regarding gambling and money being owed. He said something to the extent of he was betting with Offset, and I guess they were at a place where Offset could go take a nap. And he said that when he was about to go, he was waking him up. Hey, let me get that money. It was 8K to be exact. And he's, hey, let me get that. And he said his homeboys was just ready. Looked like they were ready to bust a move. You know what I'm saying? Because Offset wasn't waking up, and he was just. But he owed him 8K. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know how cats be.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he just charged it to the game, let it slide. And then he said, but fast forward seeing what happened with TJ, he's like, some people don't play about their money. You know what I'm saying? This is Des Bryant, NFL player, probably making $1 million or $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he charged that 8K to the game, even though money is money, regardless of how much you get. You know what I'm saying? If you owe me 8K, that's 8K. You know what I'm saying? But Offset apparently got shot over 10,000.
I don't know. I'm hearing mixed stories. I'm hearing he put them beaters on him, but I don't know whether he beat him on the tables or he beat him, and then he got shot. But I know that the internet and clout chasing is one hell of a drug, and these people want to be known for these crimes, and then until it's too late. I seen Lil TJ getting bonded out, and then he was like, "Yeah, Offset said I shot him. He a snitch." Da 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 da. And I'm like, bro, did you really just say this shit online with all these fucking cameras in your face from news reporters? It's just like, I don't know, man. Clout is a hell of a drug, especially for these younger kids. America is great. American government is the problem. I agree. Iranian people say they don't have a problem with American people, but the American government. As someone who's been to several countries, it's not horrible. I agree with free medical healthcare, things like that, but it's a country built off supporters of eugenics. They want population control. A country like India has no middle class, just rich or poor, and their poor is poor. For sure. And then I'm seeing all type of stuff that is like comparing our prolific black leaders who are martyrs in comparison to their leaders. And when you kind of think about it, it's not too far-fetched because a lot of these people were killed. The Malcolm X's, the Marcus Garveys, the Nipsey Hussles, a lot of these people were very pertinent, powerful, and had the ability to unite the people. And then when all they have to be doing is talking about the same stuff that we're talking about right now in terms of the banks and the real power structure, and then they're going to be able to unite the most divided sector of people in the country, which is Black Americans. And when that happens, it would be problematic for the powers that be. They said Offset owed him 10 bands, and they told him to get it in blood. They said, but Offset been so good since he married Cardi. On a flip note, real quick, see what's going on in the Gucci case.
Nah, he got out though, right?
No, they got Big 30. He got bond, but they ended up not letting Big 30 out. But Big 30's lawyer said that Roger Davis will not testify. So I don't know what the play is. I don't know, is the feds trying to make Gucci Mane testify? And to my knowledge, if they subpoena you to the stand, they subpoenaed you to the stand. But I do want to hit on this snitching thing because it's a big conversation about snitching. And, we come from humble beginnings. Like, I come from a very street-oriented upbringing. There's no telling. There's no snitching. Like, when you live in the streets, you have a certain code of conduct and stuff like that. So I also believe when you become a legitimate member of society and you're no longer in the streets, that those rules no longer apply to you and that you govern yourself by a different set of codes and morals. And this is me specifically, and my thoughts can change on this, but this is how I feel. I feel like we have to do a better job in our community. And of course, there are certain things that we should just not turn a blind eye to. So for me, crimes against children, like, or crimes against me personally, right? Because you think about it, you have one or two choices. You got one or two choices if somebody commits a crime against you. Like if they come in and they rob you, kidnap one of your kids, or God forbid, I'm just using an analogy. You have two choices. I can either kill you, and if I kill you, I remove you from this planet. I unalive you. Your children have to deal with that. Your mother has to deal with that. All the people that's close to you. Not to mention the possibility that I might get caught and go to jail. So it's either that option or to turn you in. So my perception on the snitching thing is that, if I am involved in something and I get caught, then I should take my lick on the chin. I shouldn't implement anybody else who didn't get caught. So that is a form of snitching to me. If I see something that has nothing to do with me and I feel the need to go speak about it, that could potentially be, considered snitching. But if you were to go through a neighborhood, you do a drive-by, you hit 4 kids, and I see you, I'm gonna tell on you. I don't care how you feel.
That's the same as the second one.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell on you. Like I'm gonna say what happened.
That's the same way. If you see something that had nothing to do with you, and you tell what you saw. But if I'm
talking about if we in the store and I see you grab a Snicker and put it in your pocket, or I'm in the bank and you rob the bank, but I know who you are, that don't got nothing to do with me, bro. So that's what I mean. But violence against kids, that's different. Or even an act against me. So like, if you come into my place of business and you rob me or you destroy my property or whatever, yeah, bro, I'm gonna say it was you. I went through this at the restaurant. This is my business. I have an equitable stake in the restaurant. A young man came in being disorderly, disruptive, started trying to fight staff members, patrons. We asked him to go. He wouldn't go. There was other things that ensued outside, and it became a court case. Yeah, but you came in to disrupt and destroy my place of business. Guess what? When I get subpoenaed to court, yes, it was him. He's the one that did it. I tried to calm him down, but he continued. He pursued. So, like a crime against me personally or a crime against kids, I don't care what you think.
So if you didn't own the restaurant and had no stake in the restaurant and you witnessed all that stuff happen, you wouldn't say nothing?
I would probably have a different opinion about it, yeah, because it's not mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was the manager at McDonald's and you came in and robbed McDonald's, man, you can have all this shit. It ain't, whatever. And you could be Blizzard from the hood, and I know that's Blizzard because you wear BK Nights, but I don't know who it was, whatever, this don't got nothing to do with me. But if you come into my place of business, some shit that I own, actually, you destroy something, you disrupt it, this is something that I work hard for personally, I have two choices. Either I can get in the blood in the streets as if I was still in the streets, or I can handle it like a businessman or a professional. I have too much to lose to go out here and to unalive you or to pay somebody to unalive you.
So you don't have a solid stance on either end. It's really just depends on the situation.
I feel like I do have a solid stance on it. Crimes against myself personally or my assets, or crimes against children. That's when you take the gloves off. That's when, you're detrimental to me.
No, what I'm saying is, cut you off right there, because there's some people that feel one way either way, regardless.
They
and
do.
There's some people that feel the other way, regardless.
Yeah, there's some people that say you shouldn't even talk to the law. But once again, these are people who live by street principles and they value street validation. But what I learned about the streets is the street don't love nobody.
Are they all street? Only street people don't talk to the law?
Most of the people that are validating this
are we only still talking about this situation?
That particular situation, are people that govern themselves by street rules. But The streets don't love you. The streets don't care about you. When you go to jail, they're not gonna send you no money. They're not gonna put no money on your books. They're probably gonna be fucking your girl. You know what I mean? The streets don't care about you. It's a dog eat dog world. So I'm not gonna govern myself by street antics when I've been able to elevate and transmute from that place. Maybe if I was still in the streets every day and I was still in the trap and I still had that mentality, I might govern myself that way. But once again, if I'm a conformed member of society and these are acts against me personally or against children, I don't give a fuck what you think, And yeah, break into my house and I shoot you and they press charges on you, the state press charges, I'm going to be in the courtroom and say, yes, he broke into my house. Yes, I shot him. I was protecting my belongings. I was fearful for my life. And he's the one that did it. I ain't going to come back and double back and try to kill you, and bring that on your mother or your children or whatever when, it might be a blessing. Yeah. Let me see. Phil says, snitching, ratting, and telling. There are three different things. I'm all against snitching and I'm all against ratting. But even when I was in the streets, if I seen someone hard a child or someone elderly, I'ma tell. Our culture is the only one with this mind frame. Bunny from Boston told on his ops, and half of the folks on the internet that says Gucci snitch and street people, so they should be quiet. We both been shot while doing street shit and didn't tell. I definitely got shot. And I know who shot me. 7 years removed, but at that time that was my mentality. It wasn't, what I'm saying? Yeah. We ain't got no reason to write no statements or talk about it. But just know, I know. So if you had no clue who robbed your store, but one of the customers seen who it was, would you respect that customer if they didn't speak up on your behalf? Let me reread that. So if you had no clue who robbed your store, but one of the customers seen who it was, would you respect that customer if they don't want to speak up on your behalf? I mean, I might not respect the customer. I might feel some type of way. Let me change that. I might feel some type of way about them not wanting to say anything, but I get it. I understand. You know what I mean? If they don't want to say anything about it, all I can do is get upset. I can get mad, but I know different principles govern us differently. So if you don't want to tell, that's fine. I got cameras in here. So, hopefully I'll still be able to take care of the business with or without you letting me know who it is. But I understand your point with that. But, there's some customers who have such an allegiance to you that they'll make sure that you know. They just don't want to be identified. How you feeling?
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this evening's episode. I think we all have a better understanding of where things are with this Iranian-USA conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll all be glued to the news over the next couple of weeks during the ceasefire. Looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. I think we will all be keeping the good brother Offset in good spirits, hoping that he resolves his issues and his alleged gambling debts. And
I bet Carter's having a field day with this shit too. She's probably laughing inside, but don't want to be public. But then again, she's petty as fuck, so she might already posted something.
And we all, maybe, I don't know. Shout out Cardi, I guess. But and we also want to just keep the culture in good spirits, man. Just keep, with the aside of the war and all that, with the things that are going on within the culture, our entertainment, music, Gucci and the shootings and stuff like that. Oh, before we dip out though, I got to shout out the Michigan Wolverines, 2026 NCAA basketball national champions. Go blue.
Well, shout out to them, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to them. Whew.
We have the most gangster president ever. Shout out my boy Stephen coming in with the ending statement to close us out.
Definitely pushing the envelopes. I seen these fucking posts today, and I was like, bro, is this AI? Like, did somebody?
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, we definitely will be back, especially if things stir up here in the next couple weeks. You know, we'll definitely you don't even have to ask. You will see the graphic pop up, giving you a warning that we're coming, and you know, whatever time we say, y'all make sure y'all tap in, tune in, and turn it up.
For sure. So until next time, make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. You can follow us at Manacle Memoirs on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. And then you can also follow our personal handles, Urban Demand, Tony Tom.
Listen, wherever you see me, that's where I'm at. So follow me there.
Until next time, man. Peace, love, and happiness. Godspeed.